So I want to welcome Angie Crockwell. Angie lives up in Massachusetts and contacted me a few months ago because she was experiencing burnout and was on a sabbatical, right, Angie?
Yes, that's correct. Took a sabbatical for a year.
You took a sabbatical for a year. I want to say it was early in the new year, like January or February, maybe March, that you contacted me.
Yeah, I think it was January, February 1st as just to see,
Because you were
I
beginning
was
to panic
searching.
already, right? About having to go back. And somehow you found me and we started talking. And my recollection is that you started with the starter program. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
And then you upgraded to the program where we could work together a little
Right.
more
The
intense.
full package. Yeah, I felt after the starter package, I needed more. I needed someone to work with, to help me.
So tell me, go back to that time right before we talked for the first time and tell us what kinds of feelings were you having? What had led up to your feeling like you needed to take that year off as a sabbatical? Talk about that a little bit.
Right. So I've been teaching for over 18 years and, I enjoyed it. I'm a band director. I teach music at the entry level.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems like the past few years, education has been very demanding on teachers. Not more specific, us specialists, meaning the gyms and art teachers and music teachers, at least at the elementary level. And then my district, just a lot of the demands they put on the teachers as well that seemed very unnecessary. And I wanted to do more as a band director. At the elementary level is very limited.
Mm-hmm.
So although I'm pounding and some things happening in my personal life, I was burnt out. I wasn't given my full effort into teaching. When I remember I first started teaching, I'm like, I see some of these veteran teachers who are cranky and just cranky and just there and just going through the motions. And, and you hear the students complain, and I'm like, I was becoming that teacher. I'm like, I don't want to be cranky. I don't want to be the cranky old veteran teacher who, doesn't, I don't want to be there and all that. So I decided I needed to take time off. And initially it was just 4 months until after the holiday break. But I kind of knew it was going to be the year, but, kind of want to play on the safe side in case something happens. And then I decided around Thanksgiving time that I'm going to take the whole year off. And I did. So I enjoyed the first 4 months, and then January came around, and I'm like, okay, I got job search is going to start for teachers probably around late March, April, May, and I got to get started on my resume. Things, just from reading websites and hearing, reading articles, like job search has changed since I started teaching. Truly changed a lot. So, at first, while I was still teaching, I applied for some non-teaching and teaching jobs, some at the college level and still some at the school district. And I got interviews, and some I didn't. At times I'm like, okay, 18 plus years of veteran teacher, no one's going to hire me, because I am expensive, not that I'm not qualified, but that, it's expensive to hire a veteran teacher. But the ones I did have interview went great, but then the final interview, I just messed up. And a couple of times it happened, I was quite bummed and I needed some direction. I really wanted to, have a resume cover, be prepared for interviews and, stand out as a candidate for it. So that's when I decided I really need to work with someone, kind of figure out what I wanted to do. Because at that point, my mind was says like, I don't want to do teaching anymore. But deep down, I'm like, I do like to teach music.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm like, well, if I'm not going to go into teaching, arts administration would be the next, to me, the next logical choice.
And you had some experience in that.
Yeah,
right. Work you had done.
Correct. Yeah. So, to arts administration, I need to, have a resume that reflects what experience I have so far, rather than on more of the heavy educational experiences, more of the arts administration mixed with educational experiences. And just social media and things like that.
Right.
And someone to just help me.
And there were times when you were so anxious that you felt sick almost,
Oh,
right?
I felt, yeah, especially towards the spring, I felt really nauseous.
Yeah.
At one point in time, when I gave my notice that I was coming back, the one of the ministries said we have another open position. It's parallel, so I'm like, all right, new school, maybe that would be better. But still, I was up in knots.
You just weren't looking forward to it.
Right.
So over the course of the several months that you were working first through the starter program and then later with me, can you narrow it down to, and maybe you can't, so just think about what were some of the milestones or benchmarks, points during your search where you felt like that working with me really was making a difference in how you approached your job search?
Like cover letters was one. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there was a 50-50 chance it got read, but just two, like the way covers letter written now, it's so different again, like the way I was doing it, the thing I learned from writing, how to grab that attention within 30 seconds of the person who's hiring, the first few sentences to catch their attention, to do that. And then once you get their attention, briefly explain your qualifications. So I tried many ways of writing cover letters the traditional way, something like a story, like you suggested once, like a personal connection with the position I was applying for, and just directly go, hey, I have experience, hire me, this is why you should hire me. So I've learned that. Some of the books they suggested, like What Color is Your Parachute? And I think it was Strength Finder as well.
Strength Finder 2.0.
Right. So that for me on a personal level, just what my strengths are, what my personality was, and it confirmed what it is. I'm a creator, I guess, passionate, and just kind of tied in. I like to work with people, team worker, things like that. So with that build upon, like, okay, I'm in the right profession, education or arts administration. So,
well, and that's good to know. And in your case, even though you were interested in a parallel path, you were offered an opportunity to make the kind of change that you were able to be excited about finally.
Right. Yes.
And you wouldn't have found it if you hadn't been searching. If you just decided to stay stuck where you were, you'd still be at that elementary school. So did you find the group coaching useful as we went through the program? Did you get some nuggets? Did you feel better, or were you surprised at all to find that there were so many other teachers across the country who were feeling exactly the same way that you feel?
I work with you one-on-one, but I knew you work with other clients, but just coming together as a group, and the group we were in, there was two other music teachers.
Yes.
Which was but just seeing other educators feeling just as frustrated I was, it was great, and I looked forward to the sessions.
Good.
Just having the group to talk about our frustrations, our celebrations, whatever your topic you had that week, was good to discuss as a group, as with you as well, to meet other people. Yeah.
And we did some interview prep too, right?
A lot. Yes, we did. A couple of interviews I had, yes.
And at one point, because you offered that you didn't think on your feet all that well and that you had trouble articulating some of the answers in your interviews and felt like that had caused trouble for you, that you hadn't been picked in the end because you hadn't interviewed well for some of the jobs that you'd applied for, I recommended Toastmasters, and you joined, and you're still a member, and you're just moving right along.
I had to put on hiatus. Yeah, I did them to my third speech. The club I was in the greater Boston area is great. And unfortunately, I have to put on a hiatus for now because I'm performing with an ensemble every Wednesday night, and so hopefully to join back. But just some of the strategies I learned is to prepare. Like with my speech, prepare. You don't have to memorize it. Have note cards with you. A lot of the new members were afraid to be in front of people. That wasn't my case because I'm a conductor, so I'm in front of I'm on stage all the time. But I guess it's the nerves, and just I'm not a very articulate person. I have to prepare, or at least, so I do prepare, but I guess talking out loud, rehearsing with someone.
Rehearsing really
Yeah,
good.
right.
And being prepared and kind of knowing what kinds of questions they might ask and how to consider answering those questions so that you come through as someone who's confident and competent and able to anticipate even what they might be asking. So those are, and you just don't get that skill without practicing. It's
Right.
something that the more practice you do, the more comfortable you become. And that's one of the reasons that I recommend Toastmasters to people. And I would have to say, I don't believe that you're not articulate, but I do think that some people, and especially people who are sort of on the introverted scale, and I count myself in this category, it's not that I don't know what to say, it's that it takes me longer to think it through. I
Right.
am not one that's just going to start talking about something until I've thought it through. And so you need a little extra time. And that's where the practice really can be quite helpful, because if you've already rehearsed, then you don't have to depend on coming up with something in the moment. You've already prepared something that you can.
Right. And what I've learned, or what I've not figured out, I don't know what you call it, but just the two types of interviews I've been on, like the school ones, is a committee of 4 or 5, and they have their standard questions, like a round robin of answering the questions.
Right.
So those are like more the formal, sterile kind of interviews. And then there's the ones I've been to as well that it's more like, hi, more casual. Nothing. It's not structured per se, but they still ask you questions.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when I was myself, because when I was up with the committee, I'm like nervous, and there's like 5, 6 people. I'm used to that, but just just have this poker face, and it's like you can't shine through your personality. You just can't shine through.
It's hard. If they're doing their job, it's hard to read their faces. They don't want to.
Right. I've been on that side of the table too, and but when I did the more relaxed interviews, I was more myself, and that's where I got the second final candidate interviews with that one. So it's just, I guess, the type of interview sometimes too.
Yeah, well, that's true. And the more you did it, the more comfortable you got.
Right.
So tell us about the ultimate job that you did end up getting.
Well, when I'm working with you, I still continue applying for teaching jobs. It was really deep down inside, because I was still going into educational like the schools, because I'm still involved with some of the music organizations. Mm-hmm. And I felt fit in. I'm like, I miss it. I really do. As well as applying for arts administration jobs. So I ended up, whoever gave me the job first, but this job I got was a high school position. So I'm really happy with it. I'm teaching high school band. I'm a high school band director, string ensemble director, the town next to me where I am, which is great. It is part-time right now, but hopefully next year, they're talking about being almost full-time, like a 0.8 position. They're looking to expand some of the courses for the high school kids. So, yep, high school. Right now, arts administration is in the back burner. I want to focus at least my first year, especially with non-professional status, just focus getting used to high school and the district itself as well. And then hopefully next year, maybe do both. I don't know. But right now, it has reignited my passion. When I was job searching, I was looking for middle school, high school level, just doing instrumental music, conducting band, and I got it. I teach a band, orchestra, and a piano lab. And high school students, it's great. It's very different. you know, the colleagues I work with. Actually, the person who was interviewing me, I actually knew him.
I was
Actually.
because that is also a key component. Remember, we talked about more people are offered jobs when they already know someone within the company or the organization.
Right.
And that turned out for you.
Right. The last 4 teaching positions I applied for in the spring through the summer, there were people I knew, and I, you know, emailed them, asked them about it, and that's I think that's how I also got the interview. I work with them professionally as well. So this person, again, we work together through our music organizations through the district, and that one, you know, it went well, and then met the principal, and then I got hired in August. So yeah, it's a change. It's an adjustment, and I like the adjustment. It's so do that, you know what I mean? It's just like, wow. You know, my husband's like, whew. You know, my friend, I just saw my friend yesterday.
He's happy that you're happy.
Yes. Happy wife, happy life.
Exactly. He's just happy.
On a different level, right?
Yeah.
No, with you and my husband, you know, lending ear. My husband's just sick of me complaining to him every time. You know, he's the one that encouraged me. He's like, just do it. Just hire a job coach. And that job coach, you know, so I'm really glad I did that. I'm really glad I took sabbatical.
Yeah.
But my friends, I saw my friends yesterday. I haven't seen them since August. So I was picking my friend up, and she said, wow, you look very different. You have a smile on your face. And, you know, even my friends who we met at the restaurant, they saw a difference in me. Just looking back, I guess I was so stressed out and so anxiety. And I'm a person that's not high-strung anxiety. I'm like, whatever. I float most of the time. Or if I'm not happy, I'll just like, whatever. But I guess I had back aches really bad looking back, and some, you know, just health issues.
Yeah.
That were pretty,
stress will do
you know.
that. You're so stressed out and so unhappy and feeling so overwhelmed, your body responds, and because our bodies respond to our thoughts. But I would have to say, I agree. I see a difference just in your general demeanor. Your face has a softer appearance, because I remember when you first contacted me, and you were so just stressed, overwhelmed, dreading. You just had this sense of dread about going back to the original position that you'd taken a sabbatical from. And so I couldn't be.
Yeah, I literally like felt sick.
Yeah, I remember. So if you were to tell someone, I'm glad, I should thank your husband for recommending that you find a career coach. If you were offering advice to a friend who was feeling the kind of burnout and overwhelm that you were feeling a year ago, what would you tell them about working with me? What would be your main points of recommendation?
I actually have a friend who we met a couple months ago, and I gave your name to her. She's teaching at elementary level. She's just hanging in there until 25 years. She's dreading it as well. Every year she dreads it. Every year we talk shop. I'm like, get out of it. She's like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, you have skills. And that's when I recommended you. And I told her, I go, she worked with me to, you know, do more social, update my social media profile, help me write a cover letter, help me do this, help me prepare interviews, gave me insights, gave me resources and tools and strategies to help. And she will work with you however you want to change your career, or at least, you know, find another position that might be better than what you're doing right now. So she thought about it, and that's what I would say to anyone who is, you know, looking to find a job coach. And I've chose you because I looked at a couple other ones in my area, and a lot of them, and a friend who had experience, more the executive job coach, they don't understand the educational aspect of teachers. So, and you being a former teacher, and president of the VEA, and the educational field, you understand us teachers.
Yeah.
What because you went through like you said, you went through the same thing yourself, and just doing that, one of the number one reasons I wanted to work with you.
Good. So, is there anything else you'd like to add as far as your overall experience? Thank you for doing this interview with me and providing this information for people who might be on the fence about whether or not they want to make a change in their life. If you were talking to someone, just out there in the internet world, what would you say if they are like your friend who's just hanging on for year 25, hoping that they can make it? What would you say to them to give them advice?
I say take that risk. If you can take that risk, it is an investment. It is an investment, but in the long run, it will help you. It obviously helped me. Hopefully, I won't have to do a job search for a while. But I have the tools.
But you have the tools, even if you do. So.
Right. I have the tools to do that, and just be selfish. To think about yourself, about your health.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to get to a point where you're so sick that you're dreading to go to work.
Right.
I see my friend, some of my other friends too. They're just, I don't know what to do. Everybody has another skill.
Oh yeah. Teachers are far more talented than they give themselves credit for. And part of the reason I decided to do this particular work is that I've heard, so many times, well, I'm just a teacher. I don't have anything else. What else could I do? I'm just a teacher. And teachers have a lot of transferable skills that are of value to companies and organizations.
Right.
But it is a matter of learning how to market yourself differently.
That's what it is. Yeah, market and put yourself out there.
And highlighting the transferable skills as opposed to only concentrating on your experiences as a teacher.
Right.
I want to compliment you before I let you go and say to you that part of the reason you were successful is that you didn't give up and that you did all of the things that I recommended for you to do. So, which means that you were coachable, you were open, you were ready to make the change. You knew it was a risk. And thank you for referring to it as an investment as opposed to an expense, because it is an investment in your future and it's important. But you are 100% responsible for the success that you experienced, because you hung in there even when you didn't always.
So stressful.
And
a couple of meltdowns I had.
You had a couple of meltdowns, but that's okay. That's why I was here. I was here to lift you up,
right,
and keep you going. But you did the work. So congratulations.
Thank you. Like I said, it was very stressful. Just looking back, being on sabbatical was great, and I was very fortunate that I could do that and dedicate my time to full-time job searching. It's a full-time job.
It is. Well, you said in the notes that it's like homework, It
is homework.
And you have, and I have heard other people say that job hunting is a full-time job, and you have to approach it with a certain amount of discipline. And, a lot of the teachers who start out with me, in fact, I had one recently. She started out, she was all gung-ho. She was, ready to go. And then about a week ago, she emailed me and she said, I am so overwhelmed with work right now that I need to put the job search on the back burner. Can I put it on hold for now and come back to it later? Well, of course she can. It's her timeline, not mine. Whatever she needs, I'm here to support her. But teachers do have so much extra work to do that adding job search to the mix can feel really overwhelming and daunting. But at the end, it's worth the effort, because if you stay stuck where you are, you wind up like you were, sick with backaches and just a sense of dread about going
Yeah.
to work. And life is just too short, I think, for us to be stuck in jobs we don't enjoy anymore. Plus, and this has been my philosophy from the get-go, children deserve to have teachers with and the enthusiasm and energy and the
passion.
desire to be with them. And just think for a moment, you are so much more effective, and you're a great teacher with your high school students right now because your passion is back. You enjoy being,
Right. Yeah.
you want to be with them. You want to
Right.
time,
Yeah.
as opposed to feeling like, oh God, I got to go back to that elementary school again. So thank you.
Right. And with this position,
This
yeah.
morning. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to add before we end up the call?
No, but thank you for your support. Thank you for lending an ear. You know, I don't think I could have done it without you. You know, just having someone else to talk to my meltdowns. You know, just someone who understands as well, to guide people. You know, people like me through this journey to where they want to be. You know, although I didn't end up in arts and administration, you know, I guess the gods, you know, my gods or whatever, is telling me stick with it, and this, you know, there's a reason why this is happening.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're where you're supposed to be right now.
Right, and you know, like I said, I'm enjoying it. It's a new level. You know, I have challenges and opportunities than I did before, and my colleagues like me, and you know, I fit very well, and
Good.
it's great. So
Good.
it's good.
Awesome. All right.